Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today is a good day. Why? Because I am in Scotland. Yeah, I'm in the northern part of Scotland. The bad news, this is not a distillery video today. I'm not going to do a distillery video, but there will be distillery videos following. Today we're going to look at a bit of a background behind a brand of whiskey. The Glenmorangie brand, they always have that Cigne on their most of their bottles, and it's a pictogram, and where that comes from we're going to look at today. Let's start at the very beginning. Here in the northern parts of Scotland there were the ancient people called the Picts, and the Picts were an old people. They didn't have any writing, so we don't have any direct sources from these people except for their stones, for their carvings, and they also used to do tattoos, but we only know about the Picts from the Romans. The Romans were invading Britain and bordering these people with the Hadrian Wall, and they actually seen them. Barbarous people, didn't speak Latin, didn't write anything, so they looked at them and they saw, yeah, they did a lot of carvings, pictograms, tattoos, and that's why they called them Picts. Picti is the Latin word for drawing, so they were painters, drawers. And today we're going to look at the Cadboll Stone of Hilton, and that is a big stone slab made by these Picts, and that has special drawings, carvings on them, and that is the inspiration for these whiskies, and we're going to have a look at that stone right now. So this here is the Cadboll Stone of Hilton. It is not an original. The original, when it was erected, we have no idea, but it actually fell down and broke over the years, and it was then rediscovered in 1776 by Charles Cigne. And so they found the stone, but the stone was broken and parts of the stone were stolen. So there was a grave masonry, and he chiseled off the stone, made a gravestone out of it, took it off, and sold it. But from the bits they found and from the rest of the slab, they could reconstruct how the stone looked like, and they sent it to the National Museum in Edinburgh. And in 2001 they erected this replica. This took actually 4 years to make, because if you look at it, how deep or how high the erections on the stone are, then you see how much stone they actually have to chisel off, and they chisel it off by hand. And really a lot of things to do. And when you look at the stone from this side, the first thing you recognize is this is not this is a Christian stone. So these are a lot of symbolism of Christianity, where you have the most iconic is it's a cross all over it, and then in the corners you have 2 angels and holy man fighting a lion, and that is because the Picts were actually Christianized in around 500 to 600 AD, and it really kicked off about 800 to 900 AD. So this here is showing that you have the Christianity embraced in the culture of the Picts, and that is also shown by the chapel that is next to the stone that we're going to have a look at now. So I'm standing here right on the outer wall of the chapel, or maybe the inner wall, because there is also a very, very small outer wall there as well, but maybe it was just a little hilly part there. In the middle you can see that it was a small chapel, and you don't know much about this chapel. It is not very well written down. What we do know, it has had a burial site there for unbaptized children, and also it was dedicated to the Holy Virgin Mary. And yeah, we also don't know when it was erected or when it was torn down, and whether it was built before the stone or after the stone. Yeah, so that was a bit about the chapel. What is really interesting is it was already supposed to be dug up by archaeologists and analyzed and everything, but that was postponed in 2019, and actually they now got the permit to open up a dig site and study everything here. There is a fund, it was funded now, and probably if you want to see the Cadboll Stone and you come here, maybe you see the archaeological site, or maybe it will already have been dug up by then. And what this all has to do with Glenmorangie, we gotta find out when we see the back side of the stone. There is some interesting stuff on there as well. This here is the pagan side of the stone. So you don't find any Christian symbols on here that I do recognize. Let's start with the center of the stone. In the center of the stone, we have a hunting community with the queen or high priestess or the leader in the middle. It looks like a woman from the face of it, and she has a brush and a mirror and a comb, and she has people following her. Trumpeters, dogs, soldiers with shields and lances that hunt deer that's also being hunted by the dogs. And what is a bit disputed here is it a matriarchal society where they only have a queen, or maybe they just had a queen at that time? And if you look at the face of, let's say, this soldier here, then you have a very distinct nose and a very distinct chin. And if you then look at the later, and at the very left of it, there is a silhouette of a face. Maybe it's just her hair in the wind or something, but maybe it is a face of a man at the back of the horse. So maybe that was a picture of two people riding on a horse, and the king was behind the queen. But that's all speculation. There's nothing written down about it, so we don't know if they also had a king as well. On the outside, there are strange creatures. You might call them pheasants or grouse. And what is interesting is on the left side, there is no food at all, and they seem to be biting their tails, and looks like a famine or winter or some sort. And if you go all the way around, then you find that there is plenty of berries or grain there, and they eat the grain, and they seem to be healthy. And at the bottom it gets more scarce where it comes to this round to the scarce part again. And what people suggest is that it might show the seasons. So the circle around, and it shows the seasons, where you have summer with plenty of food and winter with very scarce food. And what we also have is the V-rod and the double disc. That is very, very common in the Pictish culture to be depicted. And but it's not very, very well known what they mean. And at the bottom, for us, very, very important, is the Cigne. This is where Glenmorangie got their symbolism from, and this is the exact same thing as you have on most of the Glenmorangie bottles. What does it mean? Actually, nothing is written down, so we don't know. People suggest that it is depicting a water source. There are a lot of water sources around here. There's a water source up in the hill that flows down in the ground and actually causes a few problems in town with sinking houses. And if you look at these water sources, or at the water source from Glenmorangie, you see that the water is actually coming out of the ground and building little watery hills and little vortexes on the side. And that can look very similar to that. So people suggest this is a water source where the water is coming out of the ground and building a lot of vortexes or vortices to show this symbol. But that could be also something else. But so, yeah. That was the stone. That's where the symbolism from Glenmorangie comes from. And I'll go back to the Glenmorangie house and have a look at the symbolism and have a look at the whiskey itself. Yeah, so now I have the bottle called Cigne. So this is the poster bottle for this symbolism. And if you look at the Cigne symbol, it's exactly the same as on the stone, although here it is in gold. And yeah, what they carved out is exactly the same here. And yeah, the Cigne is not just very special because of this Cigne, but because of how it is made. It was made with a different kind of malt, which is very special, because if you want to change the malt in your distillery, that's a big thing. That is the very, very ingredient that you use to make the whiskey. And if you change that, you have different production all throughout the distillery, and you have to check every batch and you have to check where all the materials have been used to get the whiskey right, and you have to mark the casks, and this is all specially made for the Cigne. What is also interesting is that Cigne is almost on every Glenmorangie bottle that is out there. There are a few special editions that don't have the Cigne, but most of the bottles do have the Cigne on the bottle. So yeah, it was a pretty nice day. I've learned a lot about the history and all the surrounding stories about Glenmorangie, and hopefully I could bring that over. It's nice, it's sweet, it has caramel, but it has also a good amount of spiciness. I know I had it with horse, but my expectation from what I heard today about this whiskey was, again, very, very sweet and very Glenmorangie style. This is a bit more spiciness, more volume too than you used to expect from Glenmorangie. Nice. You do have a cacao flavor in there. Chocolate, yeah, bittersweet chocolate, maybe a little bit even going into a coffee note, and much volume, a lot of cask maturation in there. So a great whiskey indeed. So today I've talked about the Cigne and the Cadboll Stone, but I've never said anything about why the Cadboll Stone is called the Cadboll Stone. Stone was easy, but why is it Cadboll Stone called Cadboll Stone? That's going to be in the next video, because we shot a few videos today, and that video about Cadboll is coming out over the next days or maybe weeks. So yeah, that was it with this video for today. If you want to see the next video, then get to subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.